Hello, good morning. Welcome to JoyNews Desk. We're coming to you from our studios in Kukumlemle. Coming up this morning, 66,000 candidates, 37,290 positions, and 6,200 electoral areas across Ghana. All is set for the district level elections to elect assembly and unit committee members. There will be no indelible ink for today's exercise, though, with the NDC unhappy about the decision. Also this morning, let's find out how Ghana became a trailblazer in global begging. That's in part 3 of our latest hotline documentary titled A Nation That Begs. And today we'll tell you the story of how residents of communities to be affected by Ghana's first lithium mine are reacting to the development. Plus, minority in parliament and civil society mounts pressure to demand a full-scale probe into a contract between government and the private entity Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited to save Ghana billions of cedis that would have been lost in the downstream petroleum sector. We have an update from the Fourth Estate's latest expose dubbed the 3 billion cedis lie. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Let's stay for the details. Today, the fate of more than 66,000 candidates will be decided as Ghanaians go to the polls to elect representatives for their various electoral areas across the country. The Electoral Commission says they are more than ready to conduct a free and fair election. We'll be hearing from the Electoral Commissioner, Jane Mensah, shortly. But first, JoyNews' data analyst, Kofi J, joins me via Zoom with details of today's elections. Kofi, how many people are contesting in today's election? Hello, Kofi. Kindly unmute for me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right. So, according to data from the Electoral Commission, there are about 38,622 polling stations currently across the entire country. And if you look at it, this covers about 6,215 electoral areas, and this may mean that, assemblymen that will be contesting within about 6,300 of them. As it stands now, we have about 18,755 contestants currently standing in the district assembly elections, and as many as 47,502 individuals in the unit committee elections. So that brings the total number of individuals in this election to about 66,257.
What about the Electoral Commission's preparations?
Well, so earlier we are learning that the EC said they are expecting about 60% participation rate in this district level elections. This hasn't been the case, of more than 2 decades, because EC is looking at 60%, and this is not the case if you look at the data in the past 2 decades. This hasn't been the case. But Jane Mensah says that all necessary arrangements have been made for today's process, and she urges all eligible voters to participate actively in voting for candidates across the country.
One interesting announcement is the EC's plans to phase out the use of indelible ink, starting with the district level elections. How does it intend to ensure the sanctity of the elections?
Yes, Jane Mensah says that the commission hasn't resolved, that going forward there will be no need for the use of ink. So the indelible ink that will be used after one is done voting to differentiate between those who have already voted and cannot participate again. She says that there will be no indelible ink in the district assembly election. And according to her, the commission has put in place sophisticated systems that will enable the identification of flagging persons who attempt to vote more than once. And interestingly, she said that You can try voting twice and see the system will flag you out.
But there's an opposition to this decision.
Yeah, of course, the NDC is not happy with this. They are actually strongly against this decision and this process that the EC has actually made a decision that the indelible ink is actually eliminated. The NDC is not happy with it. So according to the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Mustafa Bande, who believes that the process will not be transparent and wants this decision resolved. But despite the gentleman has said that they will go ahead, she also appealed to eligible voters to give potential treatment, fresher treatment to this process. So NDC is not happy with it, but EC is very confident that doing away with the indelible ink system or process is good because it puts in place the sophisticated measures to make sure that people who attempt to vote twice will be flagged.
Kofi J, stay on for me because we'll be talking about the nation that begs shortly. But let's touch base with our correspondent around the country for updates at the various polling stations. We start off from Kumasi, where Nana Boakye reports that the EC has rescheduled voting for some areas due to delays in delivering voting materials. Some districts in the Ashanti region, including Bantama, South Suntreso, Etrimang Wabieja, Etrimang Ponua, Dadeso, and Santase, will not be participating in the district level election today. The EC has, however, rescheduled the elections for Wednesday, December 21. Nana Boakye has been monitoring the situation in these areas and joins us. Nana Boakye, tell us more about this situation. Hello, Nana Boakye. Right, so whilst we wait for Nana Boakye to join us with more from where he is, the Electoral Commission has in the last few hours released the statements. The Commission wishes to inform the general public that due to a number of technical challenges, the district level elections in some areas in the Ashanti, Eastern and Eastern regions have been rescheduled to December 21, Thursday. We apologize for the inconveniences caused residents of these electoral areas. We assure the residents of affected areas that the district level elections will be held on Thursday, December 21, 2023, and is signed by Michael Buidu, Acting Head of Public Affairs. Nana Boakye, if you can hear me, I want you to tell me more about this situation. Right, there seemed to be a problem with connection with Nana Boakye. Let's go to Awoshi, where Christiana Abochi is there. But even before we go there, let's go to the Upper West region and speak with Albert Sori, who is our correspondent. Albert, what's the situation where you are? Right, so the correspondents are getting themselves ready. Let's bring in Kodeo. Paula Brown Pamensa is with Kodeo. He has joined us with more. Good morning, sir. What's your assessment of EC's preparations as well as candidates towards today's elections?
Yes, good morning. I'm just hearing you on the release from the EC to reschedule some of the elections in other places in Ashanti. It's unfortunate, sir, because when it happens that way, the preparations people have made, and I don't know when the release came out. You know, some of these things people do prepare for, especially their agents who will be deployed to the centers. And if they have made such preparations in terms of food and other things, it means you are going to cause additional costs to such people. That said, on the substantive question, I think I did say that the Electoral Commission's ability and capacity to manage elections is one of the best on the continent. Even where there are some issues of delays, they still manage pullouts. So for that, we don't have problem. Specific for local district level elections, our headache has been the turnouts, voter turnouts, which apart from 1988, that recorded around 57%. We've not crossed the 50% mark. The last one was, I think, around 47 or 37. So that's the problem. It's not about the EC's ability to organize and manage. It's about keeping up enthusiasm in the process. So we'll get as many people as possible to take part in the process. So yes, there have been limited preparations, which comes from you and I, the media house, the civil society organizations. I remember in 2022, the Joy FM established, is it election headquarters or so? But the district level elections, I have not even seen any of your branded vehicles supporting the district level elections. Same as civil society organizations. So it's a national canker that we have to deal with if really we want to take the districts, assemblies, the local authorities, as the constitution stipulates, being the fulcrum for development. Then we need to take part from the elective processes through to the governance processes of the districts.
The Electoral Commission has scrapped the use of indelible ink. Is this a safe thing to do? I mean, looking at our history with some machines not functioning, and even today having technical hitches here and there, is it a safe option to take?
You know, election is a process, and as you move ahead, you fine-tune the processes to ensure that you have mechanisms in place to withstand any manipulation or suspicions that come around the electoral process. The indelible ink was introduced to the electoral process to do away with double voting, multiple voting, so that when your finger is marked after you voted once, anywhere you go to try again to vote, you will be seen as somebody who has already voted. Now, with coming into force of the biometric devices, we have a lot of mechanisms in place to do away with double voting and double registration. If you remember, when we finished the last registration, the Electoral Commission did something they call deduplication. Deduplication simply means that they are cleaning the system of people who have registered more than two. So the machine is able to detect that people have done 2, 3, 4 registrations, and therefore the additions are deleted from the system. So you have only one biometric details in the system that allow you to vote only once. With these things in the system, I don't think the indelible ink is still needed. So for me, it doesn't add any plus or minuses to the process if it's added or not.
And the question many ask is whether this is the time. And of course, I indicated earlier with how we face problems with some machines, because the whole thing is about verification. Without the verification, people can definitely vote twice or thrice. And with our situation, having machines breaking down here and there, is it the time? Are we actually ready for this?
I answer the question from two angles. One, we can't have any better time to implement a policy if you feel we have systems in place that undo the reasons why certain mechanisms were introduced into the electoral process. My problem is using district level elections always as a test pad. That is what I refuse to accept. We have had about 3 by-elections in the country. When we were trying to test live projection of results, we did not use district level elections to test that. We used the Sankragua by-election to test our machines and readiness for live projection of results. Why are we using, when it happens that way, then we belittle district level elections. That's why these inactions is what is projecting the turnout for district level elections. So for the timing, we can't have any better time to try to peg the system of what mechanisms good to be used after they have been experimented. As I said, indelible ink was to show that somebody has voted at one polling station or the other, and his fingers are marked, and therefore he cannot vote again. If you have the biometric system, the biometric system is not only used for registration, it's also used for verification. And whether the machines break down or not, as soon as you vote, it's captured as you have voted. And it comes with both your bios and your pictures. So it's very difficult for anybody to try to vote twice in this system that we have. So to me, it doesn't make any difference. But my problem is, as I monitor the media this morning, try to interpret that the EC is using the district level election to experiment that. That is what I'm against. District level elections as important as all elections to have been had. When you look into our constitution, the local authorities are the development fulcrum of our country. And therefore, we need to take it seriously as we take any other elections in the country.
Mr. Paula Brown-Pamens, I'm grateful for your time. He is with Kodel. We can now go back to Nanaya Obuachi Yadom, who's been monitoring some districts that have been cut off from today's procedure to be their election to be done on the 21st December, as issued by the Electoral Commission. And Obuachi Yadom, tell me more about this situation in your area.
All right, so Aisha, we are currently at Bantama Ebenezer Methodist Voting Center, but earlier we were at Inshayaso constituency, where we are being told that all districts under the Inshayaso constituency will not be participating in the district level elections scheduled for today. The information that we have picked is that they are going to partake in the election tomorrow or on Thursday. That we would confirm from the EC boss, Mr. Banobio, later in the day. But we know that all districts under the Inshayaso constituency will not be participating in the district level elections for today. Alongside Akuman Punya and Akuman Mwabieja district, all these constituencies, in fact, Inshayaso constituency and then these two districts, also Barikese, would not be participating in the district level elections scheduled for today. We monitored the turnout in some of these voting centers that we visited. We visited Oforikrom, and then it was not quite encouraging. But then the EC is optimistic that at the end of the day, which is at the end of this particular electoral process, 5 p.m., they would have a massive turnout, because at this moment people are rushing up to go on to their works. So we are currently at Bantama constituency. You can see from here that it is not, the number is not quite encouraging as to having a general elections, but then people still come in to cast their vote. We would have to interact with the EC boss here and find out from him how the process has been so far. Boss, you've monitored the process, you've been here throughout. How has the turnout been for you?
We started around exactly 7 o'clock this morning, and it has been slow, but it is encouraging to some extent. For now, about 30 voters have come to cast their votes. We are still waiting for them. We are hoping that they will come around and vote for their preferred candidate. And that is all that we are hoping for. It has been very peaceful, very, very quiet, and we thank God for that.
You said about 30 people have come out to vote so far. How many people are we expecting to vote here?
We have about 498 on the register.
498 voters are supposed to come and vote?
Yes.
And so far, how many people?
30 have voted so far. Yeah.
But then, what is driving them not to come and vote today? Because you've been doing the sensitization all over prior to this election. So why is it that we're having a few people coming in to cast their vote today?
We can assign various reasons for some of these things. Some may be due to maybe people want to attend to their work before they will come, and other reasons. And sometimes the importance that we attach to district level elections may not be the same as when it comes to the general election. So these are some of the things that may contribute to the low turnout. But we are hoping, it is early days yet, we are hoping that by the close of polls around 5 o'clock, at least more people will come around and vote.
So Aisha, I must say that some other districts that we visited, they were unable to cast their votes because they also had challenges with their verification machine. So I'll find out from this EC officer we have here if they have similar challenges when it comes to their verification machine. Do you have any challenge whatsoever with your verification machine?
No. We don't have.
Some districts that I visited, they have challenges. So some other people have to go and then come back later to do the checks and even cast their votes.
All the people who have come through, all of them have been verified by the machine. So for now, I can say that the machine is working perfectly without any challenge. Yeah.
Okay, so he says that for the people who have been here so far, they have no challenge with their verification machine. 30 people have been here to cast their vote so far, and then you can see that there is a man here going to cast his vote. He's checking through his verification machine, and then later he'll proceed to the ballot box and then cast his vote. But then we have to engage the agent for some of these candidates in the Ebenezer church. How long have you been here?
What time when it was? 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7.
Well, in the last few minutes, the Electoral Commission has been explaining why those districts cannot partake in today's exercise. It says the Commission wishes to inform the general public that due to a number of technical challenges, the district-level elections in some electoral areas in the Ashanti and Eastern regions have been rescheduled to Thursday, December 21, 2023. We apologize for the inconveniences caused residents of these electoral areas, and we assure the residents of the affected areas that the district level elections will be held on Thursday, December 21, 2023, and is signed by Acting Head Public Affairs Director Michael Buido. In Accra and in the Awoshi area, Christiana Abochi is there for us. Chrissy, what can you report from there? Hello.
This is the third electoral polling station that we visited. Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Sweetie, go ahead. We can hear you from the studio.
Aisha, can you hear me? All right, so this is the third polling station we visited, and so far the atmosphere is so calm. There are security personnel at every polling station that we've been to, and true to the words of the Electoral Commission, they are not using the indelible ink, which in a way I've observed that is speeding up the process. We caught up with Honorable Bashir Mohammed, who is the MCE for Gas Central. In a moment, he will be joining me to understand how he's seeing the processes. Honorable Bashiru, please join me. Thank you so much for joining us. So far, how do you see the electoral processes in your municipality?
Very smooth. It's going on smoothly. So we hope that it will continue going on like this till the end of the exercise at 5 p.m.
The NCE and the EC all said that they were positive that the voter turnout for this year's election would be high. Is this in any way reflecting in the polling stations, considering that it's not so crowded, but people do come in and go? Do you think that by the end of the day, the voter participation or turnout would be as high as you expected?
Certainly to creep. We've done a lot of sensitization. Even today, the EC, the NCC, they are going around with their vans, sensitizing people to come and then vote. So today is a working day. We've had series of community engagements with the constituents. Some of them have assured us way before today that they will go to work, report before they come back to vote. So certainly we are expecting that not less than 60% turnout is possible.
Well, Honorable Dan Boche mentioned that, or he appealed to the upper class citizens to also participate in this year's election. Do you think that that has been affected, or that is reflecting in the kind of people that are coming in to vote at the various polling stations?
Very well. Honorable Dan Boche is a luminary when it comes to politics. We all learn from him. And really, his predictions are right. You can see the woman who just voted, an elderly woman. Where yeah, we saw Mr. Donko and his wife. I think Mr. Donko should be about 90 years, and then his wife about 75 or 80. So really, that attests to what Honorable Damboche has said. And really, so when you meet him, tell him that in fact his predictions are right.
Well, thank you very much. Before I let you go, do you think that you did enough to ensure that you get the 60% or more that you are anticipating?
What we have to do is to sensitize the people. Apart from the general election campaign and sensitization that's gone on at the national level, At our level, we've done a lot of sensitization using vans going around the National Commission for Civic Education. We have engaged them even today. And the Electoral Commission, we've provided them with, yesterday we had MUSEC meeting, and everything that need to be discussed, we've discussed. So I think that we've done all that is needed for the success of this exercise, and we hope that, just as I said earlier, some of them have gone to work. They work for people. They can't just stay out. They have to go register and then seek permission to come and then perform their civic responsibilities. So we hope that they will come and vote. Even some of the staff at our assembly, they came registered and then reported, and then they've left to go and vote. So trust you me that the turnout will creep, and then we are very likely to achieve the target that we have set for ourselves.
Well, thank you so much. By the end of today, we will know for sure that you reach your target. Well, Aisha, we can speak to the presiding officer at this electoral area. Hello, please tell us your name.
Amino said Kumi. Odogono model.
Which electoral area is this?
This is Awosh, Odogono model, police station 2A. So far, we don't have any casualties so far, but we are expecting 418 people to vote here, but we had 11 so far.
So you have 11 people voted so far out of 418 expected voters. Is this normal at this time of the day, considering it's almost midday?
Not really. No, because it's a weekday. The voters will come late in the evening, maybe from 3 going. Most of them are going to work, so we are expecting them to come.
Have there been any unusual incidents, or so far so good, everything is going smoothly?
Nothing so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, Aisha, it seems that things are going in order, and from what we've observed, there's nothing really happening that is out of order. The officers tell us that this is normal at this time of the day because it's also a working day, and the district level elections is not mostly crowded, like the parliamentary and presidential elections.
Heather Sweetia Bochi bringing us updates from the Awoshi electoral area. We'll be getting more across the country. Today, the fate of more than 66,000 candidates will be decided as Ghanaians go to the poll to elect representatives for their various electoral areas across the country. The Electoral Commission says they are more than ready to conduct a free and fair election. And of course, you've been hearing from some of our correspondents earlier. The Electoral Commission issued a statement explaining why some districts in the Ashanti region and the Eastern region will not be partaking in today's exercise. They explain that it is because of some technical hitches, and of course they say that election will happen on Thursday, December 31, 2023. We've got our reporters scattered across the country who will be telling us more about what is happening today. Let's go to the airport area and speak with our correspondent there. Hello, what can you report from where you are?
Well, Aisha, I'm currently at the Airport International School. I first went to another polling station. The turnout is not encouraging. The first polling station that we went to, they were expecting 600 people to vote, but as of the time we went there, only 20 had voted. And where we currently are also, they're expecting 700 people to vote, but as of now, only 25 have voted. We've not experienced any sort of scuffle or misunderstanding so far. It's being done in an orderly manner. The security presence is heavy here. The electoral officers tell me that they're expecting more people to come, especially after 12:30, looking at the nature of this area, with it being a residential area. So they expect that all of them, or most of them, are currently at work, and then those who are at home have come. And then as of now, we're also seeing about 2 or 3 people coming in to cast their ballots. Aisha.
Kenneth JC with that update coming to us. Kenneth, a quick one. We're told that they won't be using, the EC will not be using indelible ink, and that means that their machines must function, must be up to speed. I mean, so far, can you confirm that the verification has been smooth?
Well, it has. Per the account of the electoral officers, they say that nobody can attempt to vote twice because your machine will fish you out if you do that. And then the electorates that I spoke to about their concerns about not being, identified with the indelible ink, they say they do not have any problem with it, and they have not encountered any problem with it, so they are all okay with it.
Kenneth JC is a reporter there. He's reporting from airport. He says so far it's been smooth and they're expecting that more people will troop in to vote around 3 p.m. Let's listen to the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, who has been urging everyone to go out in their numbers to exercise their vote to elect their district unit committee members and assembly members. And she says that the Electoral Commission is over ready for this exercise.
We would like to entreat eligible voters that persons with disabilities, the aged and nursing mothers should be given some preferential treatment at the polling stations. We do not expect that this category of persons will join long queues at the polling stations, and we entreat eligible voters to allow them to vote in a timely manner should they arrive at our polling stations. In addition, the Commission has provided tactile ballots.
Well, we apologize for the poor quality of sound. We'll bring you that sound back and also go back and touch base with our correspondent across the country and bring to you as it happens at those polling centers. But right now, let's get on to other stories. From Eurobond darling boy to debt relief seeker. That's the story of Ghana, a nation that begs. A JoyNews hotline documentary by Isaac Ofieji tracks how Ghana got suffocated with commercial loans, forcing it to seek haircuts worth about 40% from its creditors in the international capital market. Here are excerpts of the third part of the documentary, A Nation That Begs.
In 2022, Ghana faced economic challenges as emerging markets experienced soaring coupon rates for bonds, rendering them exorbitant. Consequently, only 3 countries, Nigeria, South Africa, and Angola, managed to issue Eurobonds in the first half of the year. Other nations, including Kenya and Ghana, were priced out of the international capital markets due to unsustainable interest rates.
When we started getting the downgrades and others, that we better fix it because the domestic market was just too shallow.
It was quite clear that we're in too deep and we're in above our heads. And so once the rating downgrade came, that sealed our fate. We could no longer go back to the international capital markets to borrow, at least not on the Eurobond market, until we address issues of debt sustainability.
You are mindful about the cost of accessing capital from the markets, okay, and especially when your rating has gone down the way it is, we are almost in a junk territory, right? So one basic understanding of the market is that when you come onto the market unattractive, you'll be punished.
For Ghana, the burden of debt servicing obligations, limited to interest payments only, was projected to reach approximately $5 billion at both domestic and external levels in 2023. Unlike its 16th enrollment in 2015, Ghana's unsustainable debt position was certainly a huge obstacle in obtaining an IMF deal. This meant a lot of conditions had to be met. The IMF's message to Ghana was very simple: restructure your debt or no bailout package.
I also want to assure all Ghanaians that no individual or institutional investor, including pension funds, in government treasury bills or instruments, will lose their money as a result of our ongoing IMF negotiations. There will be no haircuts. So I urge all of you to ignore the false rumors
Instantly, the market knew the president wasn't speaking the truth. You see that right after the president made a statement, the reactions were more or less to reject the statements. And therefore, my expectation is that any investor who probably took a decision on the back of that wasn't an investor, was probably a lotto doctor.
Part 3 of A Nation That Begs is today, December 19, on the JoyNews channel at 6:30 p.m. On to other stories. There's pressure from the minority in Parliament and civil society for a full-scale parliamentary probe into a contract between Government of Ghana and a private entity, Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, to save Ghana billions of cedis that would have been lost in the downstream petroleum sector. According to an investigative piece by the Fourth Estate, the contract is questionable, but has since been expanded by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, which will cost the state $100 million in the next 10 years. We'll hear from the minority shortly, but first, assets of the 3 billion cedis lie.
In a control room in Tema in the Greater Accra region, officials of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited explained their services to the Fourth Estate News team.
We have transistors which are engulfed in the ultrasonic clampons or the real sets.
The company tried to convince our news team of its wild claims that it had helped to save billions of Ghana cedis that would have been lost in the downstream petroleum sector but for its intervention. More importantly, it tried to justify why it receives payments worth millions of Ghana cedis from the government of Ghana through its contract with the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA.
Currently, we are installing a tank gauging system.
By the end of our second day at SML Ghana, however, we were convinced that a company, with the help of Ghana's media, had made false and unsubstantiated claims and is paid millions of cedis in a deal that appears to lack value for money. A few hours after our meeting, some of the claims began to disappear from the company's website.
We were shocked at one point when government said they were bringing in SML to actually sit at the depot where the product is lifted. And in fact, that is where there isn't much problem. Because when the product is lifted, MPA is able to see, how much product has been lifted through their tank gauging systems and also the metering systems at the depot. So that was never the problem. The problem really was, how do you track it to where the tax is actually collected or is supposed to be collected for you to be able to make the money. So from day one, the importance of SML was questioned by all the industry players. You can talk to all the players in the sector and they will tell you that where SML is positioned, they cannot be doing revenue assurance for the state.
SML Ghana, like other private sector service providers, was engaged to curtail huge losses in the downstream petroleum sector. Some oil marketing companies, OMCs, which lifted petroleum products from the nation's depots, sold the products and refused to pay hundreds of millions of cedis of the tax, levies, and margins components on the petroleum products.
Some of these debts become quite heavy based on the OMC's liftings levels. So that's why some of these debts, and if the person is not stopped immediately from loading petroleum products, then it means he'll be accumulating as he goes on.
According to minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, John Jinapa, who is also on the Finance Committee, the deal should be immediately suspended pending the parliamentary probe.
I think it doesn't because it's not an international transaction.
Yeah.
If it were an international transaction, but I think that it should have reflected in their budget approval. Because we've just considered GRA's estimates. And this has not found expression in GRA's estimates. It hasn't also found expression in the finance minister's estimates. Because these are huge figures, and for such huge figures, you would normally come with your budget and add a footnotes, and the footnotes gives us the details as to what you want to do, especially with your goods and services. So clearly there's a problem. It hasn't also found expression with NPA. So somebody quietly has signed this agreement, milking the nation, and but for Manasseh and his team, this would have been perpetrated for a very long time.
So realistically though, what can Parliament do about this?
First of all, Parliament can pass a resolution. And I think it's not too late that in considering their estimates and their appropriation, we want to see where this very amount sits. Which agency is responsible for this amount? And Parliament has the power to decide that we will not appropriate that money. In fact, we've just decided we are not appropriating some 5 billion for a certain entity because we felt that it was not necessary given the situation that we find ourselves. We are in a serious tangle with the Ministry of Finance itself. They are allocating some 350 million for some very projects that we disagree with. And we're saying that allocate it to the sector ministries. We don't agree to the Ministry of Finance keeping money, sitting with the Ministry of Finance and deciding that they want to engage in infrastructure projects. That is not their job.
Between the government of Ghana, led by the Ministry of Finance, and SML Limited, to undertake some so-called assurances, revenue assurance. And first of all, let me commend the fourth estate, Manasseh, and the media houses who conducted this investigation. Indeed, the minority has discussed this topical issue and will be moving processes in Parliament to ensure that there's full-scale investigation. Because we do not believe that there's value for money. This contract is a rip-off. This contract only ends up filling the pockets of greedy politicians and individuals, because just a couple of weeks ago, the Mines and Energy Committee visited NPA and were made aware that they've put in place enough systems, enough mechanism, enough infrastructure to ensure that all the loopholes and all the losses are safeguarded, and that they've even hooked up with the Ghana Revenue Authority to ensure that all those assurances are catered for. And so the question is that why would you need this? Even more importantly, it's turned out that the so-called 3 billion savings was nothing but a hoax. We cannot allow the taxpayer to be burdened with such unnecessary contracts.
Energy lawyer Kwame Jantwa says there must be an independent probe into the deal. He spoke on PM Express last night.
What were they there for? Why did they bring them in? What was the reason for? If the amounts of money they say they pay them a month, 24 million.
Up to 24 million.
Up to 24 million every month. Then we don't need to go to IMF. If we have that kind of money in the country, we don't need to go to IMF. That's about 288 million a year. It's a lot of money, cedis, a year. So really and truly, we need to look at it. And the question is it the OSP or is it Parliament? I hope there would be probably a mix of Parliament, stakeholders, CSOs, to look into this particular issue. Because if OSP does not have the money to do a lot of these prosecutions, then it's going to go into what? 2024, 2025, 2026, when we will finally find something being done. So if Parliament, bringing in the CSOs, can sit and look into it and give us results quickly, it would help.
Yeah, but
In the heart of anticipated lithium mining in the central region is Aoya, a community of charcoal producers brimming with anticipation and dreams of a brighter future. Another affected community, Krofo, is however proceeding with caution, citing insufficient engagement with the company to understand fully the scope of the work ahead. It's a tale of it tastes better depending on where you're located. Head of our energy there, Samuel Kujobrace, has been to the community and has come through with this report.
What we've had is that work will soon begin, but we haven't seen it yet, and that is what we're waiting for. or waiting for the mining to begin.
Auntie Mensime, a resident of Aoya, expressing optimism in the prospect of the lithium mining in this area. Her optimism is being actualized by Atlantic Lithium with the announcement of an employment opportunity. The chief of Aoya, Nana Mbrono Edu the Ninth, says aside the announcement, the company has already employed some of the citizens.
We're training nkwofu ba emiensa asisi a wosan wo adwuma no mu a wo ye adwuma ana kan ye adwuma bia chako business ne ye twedua ye we.
They have trained about 3 people who are currently working. There used to be no jobs here apart from the charcoal business. Previously, when you come to this town, you will see no one around. But now, because of Atlantic Lithium, most of the youth are now employed. We are content with what Atlantic Lithium is doing here.
He describes Atlantic Lithium as a good social partner to his community.
I was here when they brought the plan. The road contract has been awarded. All the engineers that came, I met them in Accra and brought them here. They have opened up about a lot of things they plan to do to help the communities.
I meet Charles Adolfo, a native of Aoya and employed as a technician at Atlantic Lithium.
People's lives have been changed. I am currently employed. I now have enough money to support my mother and my family. It has been very beneficial to me. The majority of the men who were unemployed and took advantage of the opportunity now have jobs. You can be a casual worker and earn around 120 cedis if you are not a contractor.
We're still live on JoyNews Desk. We'll take a break and bring you business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Chief Executive Officer of the Twima Kwahoma Rural Bank, Samuel Bonsu-Setre, has expressed concern about the low growth in the banking sector post-COVID-19, with the country's high inflation of 54.1% as of December 2022 and the city's 30% depreciation against the dollar. The banking sector recorded a slow pace of growth. According to Mr. Bonsu-Setre, policy initiatives introduced by the government, including the domestic debt exchange program, affected the banking industry and its growth. He spoke to the press at the bank's 40th anniversary celebration in Kumasi.
2022, the government announced the domestic debt exchange program, which required investors to surrender their existing bonds in exchange for new government bonds with maturity up to 15 years. This, alongside other policies, affected economic growth. At the 40th anniversary celebration of Twima Kwahoma Rural Bank, CEO of the bank, Samuel Bonsu-Setre, said government policies affected the banking industry in 2022.
There are times that government policies have affected our operations, such as the domestic debt exchange program that we are all familiar with now. It affected almost all banks, and we were no exception. And then again, we work with a sector of the economy that is low income. And with the low income, the cost of granting credit to them is much higher than the higher end of the economic scale. And so we are faced with rising cost of operations from time to time.
President of the Association of Rural Banks, Kwame Bonsu-Setre, says although the banking sector recorded a low growth in 2022, the rate is encouraging.
If you look at how the system was and how people perceived the challenges, that it was going to create a situation where our economy will not grow. But if you look at all the factors that we see around, you could see that yes, we are picking up, and particularly for the rural banking industry, a lot of the banks posted growth, profit, even though we were not expecting it to be the lowest that we have seen, but it is encouraging, and we hope that when the DDEP program ends, it's going to reflect in our books in terms of how we have managed the affairs of the banking industry.
The Atwima Nkwahoma Rural Bank celebrated 40 years of banking and its impact in the sector. The CEO, Samuel Bonsu Sechere, assured customers of the bank's commitment.
We have been here for 40 years, and the level of operation that we've had over the 40 years have helped us to build a very robust bank. And so we are a bank that they can rely on. We are a bank that can meet their needs. We have customers who year on are growing their businesses. And we are happy to say that Atwima Nkwahoma Rural Bank will grow along with their businesses, so they should continue to bank with us.
For JoyNews, Nana Boachidankwe Kumasi.
And that's it for this segment. I shall be back to wrap up.
You again at 12.